Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. The topic of the video today is how I support my Filipina wife. I know many of you are interested in marrying a woman from the Philippines. If you have to, look overseas for someone like I did back in 2015. Well, I give a lot of my experience and comments on the dating process and then getting married. We got married in 54 days, so we didn't have a whole lot of the dating part down, but I do have my thoughts on that and finding the one and how to get and stay married to a woman from the Philippines, how to understand her culturally, age gap. It's all in there. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea and get notifications, and make sure that you leave comments on these topics. I think it's important to support your Filipino wife, and when I talk about supporting her, probably most of us right away are going to be thinking about monetary support, and that's a given. I think it's one thing to talk about giving when you're just dating or you haven't met yet, so I'll throw in there, if you haven't met yet in person, it's not a good idea to give them money for anything, not even if it's for a cell phone, because you don't know that that's for a cell phone. And I think you're better off dating someone that can get a phone or some other way to communicate and doesn't want to sponge off some foreigner. It's just too easy to do, too easy for the foreigner to get taken advantage of. So as far as your wife, when you get married, yeah, you want to support her financially. We got married back in 2015, and we have bought a house. I've actually helped her buy a couple of others. We're pretty close to 50-50 on all that spending. Not because that was ever the goal, but she wants to pull her own weight and pay for some of these things. She's been in the country for about 8 years, and she's worked for over 7.5 years. So she has been working and saving and been very generous with her family, and I have tried to do that as well. We've got some land over there as well. Many people have done this for their wife. It's one way to support them. We bought a multi-cab. My wife just bought another vehicle. We'll probably sell the first vehicle. So we've been very generous. And of course, birthdays and nieces and nephews are likely to get some help. And I know that might sound scary, but remember, if you marry somebody and have your own kids, you're going to be spending probably a lot more on them if you're living in a Western country. But that's the financial part. Other ways, and let me know how you support your Filipino wife, and if you're a Filipina married to a Westerner, how do you feel supported by him? Look at some other things. For example, education. My wife has a college degree. She's gone back to school here a couple years ago. And let's say, so I think she was roughly 10 years away from school. And so when you're working full time and you're jumping into school and you find out that's taking 5-6 hours a day, it's a major grind. And in 6 months, the end of December 2023, she'll have her degree and associate's degree. Biotechnology. She has a certificate for that. I mean, she's taking stuff like chemistry and trigonometry and molecular biology and writing classes, and I'm very proud to support her in this way. Neither one of us thought it was going to take so much time, but if we're going to finish it, we need to keep driving to finish it. And 6 months from now, she passes her grades, her tests, then she'll have that associate degree. Also, there's some classes that I think offered there in person and online that can help her at her job, which I'll talk about later. And so that kind of education, like leadership and management and so on, can help her for positions later on down the line, but give her some really good ideas and some confidence to know how to start thinking like somebody that's a supervisor or a manager. So I support her with education. I supported her with a work shift change, obviously. And you may not think of this, but if your wife is going to work where you live, pretty much need to work the same shift, most likely, although a lot of people don't. I would prefer that, but I worked first, and then, my wife, just circumstances worked out better for her to work second shift. And so that kind of disrupts our time together, but we couldn't satisfy both. So somebody had to bite the bullet, which was me. So I've supported her with this because it was deemed, without going into detail, the better place for her, the better shift. Also, encourage her at work, like with this education, talking to her about her day and reminding her what an amazing worker she is, and just offering as much support for her with work and school. I mean, I'm going to pick up some slack around the apartment, like dishes, laundry, certainly running errands, picking up meds for her, food, at the Asian store, things like that. So that's another way I offer her support, because right now she's a whole lot busier than me. Also, I offer her support by praying for her. It's one of the first things I do every day, and the last thing I do at night, and any other time I'm inclined to in between, because I believe that and I've made a few videos on YouTube. If you check through the playlist, you might find them there out of 1,450 videos. But, the need to pray, and pray without ceasing, pray with faith, and keep asking and asking and asking. There's a couple parables in the Bible that talk about that. So I want to make sure I pray for my wife, and I can share in her success, because I'm praying for her and I'm praying with her also, so she can hear what I'm saying. And I pretty much pray for anything for her that I think would be a blessing to her. There's vacations. For a guy that doesn't like to travel much, we've been back to the Philippines. I think I've been 5 times. I think she's gone once or twice without me for some needed situations, short stays. We've been to, we went to Paris on our 2nd anniversary, and we've been to Tokyo a few years ago. We were at California, Disneyland, and Universal Studios, thanks to our friend of ours named Jim, who was a great host. And so my wife got to see the West Coast. We've driven up and down north and south here in the Midwest United States, and enjoyed South Dakota and Mount Rushmore and Branson, Missouri. We've been there a couple times. In fact, tomorrow we're getting loaded up to go to Branson for 4 days. My wife and I both need some relief, and so we're going to support each other by getting away for 4 days. It's a 7-hour drive there, a 7-hour drive back, and we'll have 2 full days in between. So many vacations, and that's a good way for support. Also, supporting by advice in any area. I've been around the block a few times. I don't know everything, but if I can give her advice or point her to somebody that can, that's a way to show support to my Filipina wife. Her health, try to eat well, be a good example of keeping active and eating well, and avoiding sugar and stuff like that. Filipinas can come with some bad eating habits. I've talked about that before in my videos, and it took me a long time to convince myself to eat better, and I'm older, so I should expect more of myself. But, I can talk to her about her health and why some foods are not as good as others, and why processed food isn't good, and all of that stuff. So to keep moving here, since I'm almost out of time on Love Beyond the Sea, another way I can support her, emotional support if she's down, depressed, angry, confused, whatever. Just always want to support her. I mean, you always want to offer support and care before you say, what you might want to say as far as what a cure might be. You want to listen to her first, understand her situation first. And another thing before we go on a trip, a safe car. I wanted her to have a very safe car, and we'd spend for it. I did the down payment. She paid for the car over 5 years. Great travel car, very safe with all the best safety features. So there's a lot of ways to support your love beyond the sea.